And we've just confirmed this at Fox News. We have a copy of the letter. I have it right here from James Comey, the FBI director, sending this to Congress, that the criminal investigation of Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State, is back on. What is key here is that he is saying in the letter to top chairman and chairwoman on Capitol Hill, quote, in connection with an unrelated case, the FBI has learned of the existence of emails that appear to be pertinent to the investigation. This is James Comey at the FBI. I am writing to inform you that the investigative team briefed me on this yesterday, and I agreed the FBI should take appropriate investigative steps designed to allow investigators to review these emails to determine whether they contain classified information, as well as to assess their importance to our investigation. Although the FBI cannot yet assess whether or not this material may be significant, and I cannot predict how long it will take us to complete this additional work, I believe it is important to update your committees about our efforts in light of my previous testimony. A couple of things going on here. Obviously, number one, James Comey may be trying to cover his back a bit here. He is under intense pressure from various members of Congress, people in the public saying, what in the world happened with this investigation, as more and more emails and questions spill out, number one. Number two, what is the fallout for Hillary Clinton? I mean, when James Comey, the director of the FBI, says, I don't know how long this will take to clear all of this up, does that mean it's going to be done in a week and there'll be good news for Hillary Clinton or bad news 3 days or so before the election? Or will he hold this over past the election as they go through this? If Hillary Clinton is then elected president, I use the word if, she would immediately be under a cloud yet again as president-elect. If she were to lose the election, I use the word if, let's be clear, you would undoubtedly have Clinton supporters saying this is dirty pool and that the FBI came in the final weeks of the campaign. This is exactly what James Comey was trying to avoid months and months ago, saying he was working on his own calendar, he was not paying attention to the election calendar, and yet here we are. A lot of questions for James Comey about why criminal charges against Hillary Clinton were not filed after that incredible public statement he made a couple months back, you'll remember, suggesting there were all kinds of problems and misstatements and whatnot, and then said, but we're not going to bring charges. Now he's saying we've gotten the existence of new emails that appear to be pertinent to our investigation. Let's remember, as a criminal investigation, Jenna, and this is probably the worst possible news for the Clinton campaign under 2 weeks before Election Day, Jenna.
Sure that some of you may have heard about a letter that the FBI director sent out yesterday. It's pretty strange to put something like that out with such little information right before an election.
Her criminal action was willful, deliberate, intentional, and purposeful.
You know, we're especially saying enough is enough when it comes to the fast and loose ethics of the Clintons, aren't we? And it sounds like the Department of Justice is starting to feel that way, too.
I think the quicker they release the emails for the public to see them, the better off. I have confidence in Hillary.
The American people are about to have a candidate who is clearly going to be under criminal investigation for the entire first and second year of her presidency, if she could even survive it.
So the American people deserve to get the full and complete facts immediately.
So what's happened to the Justice Department? What's happened? What's happened? This is what I mean when I say that our system is rigged.
All right, first up, we've got 9 days until the election. 9 days. Hillary Clinton doubling down against the FBI's renewed criminal probe into her email.
The Democratic nominee appearing to be ready for battle with Director James Comey.
Mike Emanuel is live in Miami covering the Clinton camp this morning. Good morning, Mike.
Clayton, Abby, Tucker, good morning to you. Hillary Clinton and her top advisors are trying to reassure anxious Democrats that this email October surprise won't defeat her.
No matter what they throw at us in these last days, we're not going to back down. We're not going to get distracted. We're not going to get knocked off course, because we know how much this election matters.
Clinton fired back at FBI Director James Comey at that campaign event in Daytona Beach, Florida. She took a much tougher tone after initially just calling on the FBI director to release more information to the public. Now it's clear the Clinton-Comey showdown less than 10 days before the election has gotten personal.
I'm sure that some of you may have heard about a letter that the FBI director sent out yesterday. Well, if you're like me, you probably have a few questions about it. It's pretty strange to put something like that out with such little information right before an election. In fact, it's not just strange, it's unprecedented, and it is deeply troubling.
Last night in Miami, Clinton was in a much more festive mood. She had the artist J-Lo headlining a free concert for her and her supporters. Jennifer Lopez and her ex-husband Mark Anthony were trying to encourage Latino voters to turn out in big numbers and support Hillary Clinton. The Latino vote, obviously a key constituency in battleground Florida. I should note that Clinton's closest aide, Huma Abedin, is not on this trip to Florida. Abedin, and that is highly unusual since Abedin is typically at Clinton's side. I should note the Washington Post this morning is reporting that Abedin is telling close confidants that she does not know how those 10,000 or so emails ended up on the laptop she shared with her estranged husband, Anthony Weiner. Back to you guys in New York.
Mike Emanuel, great to see you this morning.
Mike.
Thanks. I want to bring in now one of our favorite guests, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee joins us live this morning. Governor, it's great to see you this morning. So how did this become an investigation?
Great to be with you guys this morning.
Well, James Comey, if you read the papers this morning, seems like the one under investigation. Have you noticed that? I thought it was Hillary who's under criminal investigation.
James Comey, he has done something remarkable, and we need to thank him for it. A lot of people are all over his case, but he has finally brought Democrats and Republicans together just before this election because all of them want him to resign. And that's the only time that I've seen Democrats and Republicans agree on anything in all of 2016. So we will at least be grateful for that.
What about Loretta Lynch in all of this? Of course, we remember the tarmac meeting with Bill Clinton over the summer, and she came out then later apologized, said it was an error in judgment. But she, in the beginning of the summer, said she would listen to the recommendations of the FBI in her decision on this case. Well, we learned yesterday that the DOJ had basically tried to stonewall James Comey from actually sending this letter to Congress, saying he was going to get the emails. Further, the DOJ is also not allowing a warrant to be issued. So the FBI has not yet been able to go through these emails. They have them. They're just not able to read them yet.
Well, I'm sure all of you are aware that if you talk to rank-and-file people in the FBI, either active or retired, there is an uproar within the ranks of the Bureau because they feel like that everything that they have been trained to do, everything that they have the integrity to do, has been upended by the way this has all been handled. And they're angry and they're frustrated. They feel like that, the agency has been compromised because the DOJ has been so protective of Hillary. They have not allowed this to go through in the same way they did for General Petraeus, General Cartwright, or for that matter, for some low-level sailor who takes a picture on his cell phone. The fact is, America cannot elect somebody to the highest office in the land to be the commander-in-chief of all armed forces, the head of all national security, who can't keep a simple secret and then who destroys evidence. Hillary talks about something unprecedented. This would be unprecedented. I don't think if she were elected, her presidency would last much longer than a snowball in Phoenix in the middle of August. I just think that there's just too much stink there, and no amount of Febreze is ever going to be able to make it smell good.
So Huma Abedin is now saying that she can't recall how tens of thousands of these missing emails wound up on her husband's, or going to be ex-husband, Weiner's laptop in a folder that was called life insurance. So now you have Hillary Clinton saying, I want everything out there. I've got nothing to hide. But you rewind this back, Governor. That is not what she said early on in this investigation. She did not put everything out there. Had she done that, we might be in a different place today. So who's really at fault here? Is it Hillary Clinton or is it James Comey?
Well, have you noticed that with Hillary, it's never her fault? I mean, Harry Truman said the buck stops here. The only buck that stops with Hillary is the one that has George Washington's face on it. And those are the ones that come from foreign governments that go into the Clinton Foundation. But never does she stand up and say, it is totally my fault. And so is it Comey's fault? Is it Huma's fault? No, it's Hillary's fault. She is at the center of this entire Clinton enterprise.
Governor, it might be Vladimir Putin's fault. I want to play what Representative Tim Ryan from Ohio says about this. So hold your horses here. Listen.
Okay.
I can't imagine there's any there or anything that's really going to have an effect on the election. So the question is, where did these documents come from? How did they get to the FBI? Is Russia involved in this? We don't have any clue of where this stuff is coming from.
Putin, Governor, there's your answer.
You know, for those who are a little younger, they need to go back and rent the old Carl Reiner movie, The Russians Are Coming, The Russians Are Coming, because it's like a remake of it.
It's unbelievable.
It was a hilarious movie in the mid-'60s. It would be funnier today. Just insert Vladimir Putin as the sub-commander. And, you know, the Democrats, this is the best they can do, is to say, we didn't write all that stuff. The Russians just recreated our emails perfectly. You know, they really don't deny the content.
No, of course
And we
not.
really don't know where it came from. But this is classic. Let's just turn the other way. It's the same role. The Democrats are using them as the same role as a scantily clad woman in a magic show, is to divert attention away from what's really going on.
Can this change the tide, though, for Donald Trump? Because up until this point, he has been down in the polls. He needed something like this to happen. But how much can this change what happens on Election Day?
Well, I do think it's causing people, and I hear from folks when I'm out traveling, and they'll say, you know, I don't really like Donald Trump, but there's a lot of things about him that trouble me, but by golly, I can't vote for Hillary Clinton. I mean, the corruption, the subterfuge, all the things that are out there that just say, we can't trust her.
Right.
She's not dependable. And I do think that people are going to realize that if you want any change at all, if you think the system is rigged, and it is, if you think that there are two sets of rules for this very small group of elitists who run the country and the rest of us who would be run over by this country if we did anything like that, if you're sick of that, you better vote for Trump, because if you vote for Hillary, she and her elitist pals will protect themselves and they will destroy the rest of America. And folks, this is pretty serious stuff when our jobs, people's mortgages are in foreclosure. I mean, look at all the issues that we face. And the one group of people who have been absolutely protected through it all are the folks in that upper circle that Hillary represents. She calls the rest of us deplorable, irredeemable. She shows contempt for evangelicals, for Catholics, for working class people, even for the students who are out there thinking they're doing the country a favor by voting for her. She says they're dumb. So this is why people are, I hope, waking up to reality 9 days before this election.
Yeah. Establishment Republicans still rooting for her in D.C., though. Not surprising.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Governor Huckabee, great to see you this morning.
Governor.